I swear it's bigger than it looks. Welcome back to the Lost Cause Ranch. Today we're gonna see if any of our stuff is actually gonna fit in the new shop. We also remember that we have a Nada 109 laying around. And we are coming up on 10,000 subscribers. Wouldn't have thought when we started this it would get there. Not huge by any means, but big for us. So with that, we are going to do some giveaways, I think, once we hit that mark. So make sure you are subscribed so you get a chance at that. In the interest of keeping rolling on all our random Land Rovers laying around, including the yellow one, I think we're going to dive back into Nada number 59 a little bit as well and start repairing some of the chassis. Doesn't that fresh bumper look interesting on there? Looks a tad out of place with all the dents, but I love it. It looks slightly less broken, unlike our windshield. But my next decision point on this guy is how far do we tear it apart to replace and repair some of the chassis. This go around, we're just fixing the rear rusted chassis along with the spring hangers. And maybe down the road, we'll do a complete new chassis after it's all running and everything. Ah, that sounds like it hurt. You all right, Sash? So as most of you know, this guy is pretty well stripped down already. So we have the rear cross member along with some replacement pieces for the side of the frame. I'm thinking we may pull the tub off this guy. Then we can clean up the entire chassis and get everything coated. Up front here, the chassis is actually in pretty remarkable shape. You might remember the crunchy crunch of that collapsing the first time we put it on the lift. Try a little bit more. That's probably not gonna work. So we definitely need those guys shored up. All right, so we have our pad somewhat leveled back out and close to even with the top of our piers now that those are poured and in. And just give you an idea, right here where I'm standing is where our 12-foot by 12-foot overhead door will be. Corner of the building here. We'll be able to fit so many things in here as long as they're under 12 feet wide and 12 feet tall. Now with these poured into place, we are starting to get a visual on what the building is actually going to be size-wise. Bad thing about that is it's always smaller than you want. I could go for like quadruple this size, but is what it is. Obviously, we are limited by terrain in this exact location. We have some land up that way. So down the road, I want to put a larger building of just cold storage. Something that is just a steel building, concrete floor. No utilities or anything, but something in the 40 by 80, 3,200 square foot range. And then this will just be a clean workshop. I am only one guy, so working on more than two at a time is not going to happen. Always disappointing when you actually fill them up. I swear it's bigger than it looks. Good things come in small packages. But no, knew this is about how it was gonna lay out. Only good thing is we're gonna have a lot of ceiling height. It's gonna be 16 foot tall, so it'll be over double the Land Rovers in height. It will feel roomy. At least that's what I'm telling myself. But here, as we come in the overhead door, this is kind of the layout I was thinking up when designing this. Gonna have a man door over here. I'm contemplating sinking a full rise scissor lift right about where the 944 is. And it would be flush mounted with concrete so you can drive over it and it wouldn't impede getting anything back to the back side of the shop. Back to the back side? Yeah. I don't want much hanging on the walls. I like to have open wall space. Who pulled that in? Looks like they were drunk. So where the 944 is, that would be like your quick shorter term project, pulling stuff in and out. And back here would be longer term stuff. Right where the Eco is, I'm thinking flat ground, nothing there. First off would probably be the LS3 Defender. That'd be a good work area where you can blow some stuff apart around it. And I'm not sure on here, but I'm thinking maybe a 4-post hoist. You could double stack if you want to store 2, or work on something via the lift. We're gonna come out probably 10-ish feet, maybe 8 feet, I don't know. Still have to decide on that, but in where I'm standing now is going to be a mezzanine area, office and bathroom up here. And underneath those will be kind of the fab area. We'll have eventually a little smaller CNC plasma, 4x4, 4x3, and then the welding benches and cutting stuff will be underneath the mezzanine, since you don't need the ceiling height for that. So nothing overly crazy size-wise, but I think we will have enough room to do some damage on some Land Rovers. And it is exciting to finally see it coming together and get a visual on what we're working with. Speaking of visual, what we need to do now is lay out our post brackets. So we got our chalk line, some little Tapcon so I can locate stuff in the concrete. And we're doing red semi-permanent chalk. Menards didn't have any boy size hands in the men's stuff, so I got some nice feminine colors. But this is the final time we will lay out the post location, and we need this to be 100% accurate, because this is where the building is going to end up. Maybe 99.9% accurate, because I'm definitely not perfect. So I have a goofy slope coming in to the building because of all the different elevations. I'm gonna eventually rework the driveway, have it ramp a little steeper to there and level off for the garage door, so it's easier to get some lower vehicles in. But happy to see that the 944, which is somewhat low, fits in there without issue. I mean, it'd be a real Joe move to build a shop that you couldn't get into. That'd be something I'd do. All right, so we have our blueprint with the post layout here, and this thing's kind of confusing. We got our post outside to 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 the other outside. I don't know why you just, whatever. I mean, I guess I get it because you're trying to go for the full overall length, but when I originally laid this out, that one threw me for a loop because you got to factor the post in differently on that side. But we're going to lay out our corners first and get it all squared up, and then we can lay out all the other ones. Our trusses sit on top of those, so those need to be square. Everything needs to be square, so the building is square. All right, I sunk a Tapcon in on this corner pier and one on that far corner as well. These are the outermost point of our post, so the post will be in there. So now need to square up the building. And how we're going to do that is run a tape from this corner over to here, and then one from this corner over to here. So since this is 48 feet on the front, we have 1.5 inches on the 2x4 girt on each side, so we are 47.9. And then if we're 30 deep, minus that 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches, we are 29.9. We're gonna use this little calculator, and we input those two measurements and it gives us our diagonal. That gives us 56 3 inches and 1/8. So 56 3 1/8 inches. So we'll run from this corner to there and this corner to there, and where those two meet is there. And then we'll flip it, do the same for that side. All right, so we got our chalk lines scored, snapped, whatever you want to say. And that'll be the corner of the post. We'll get the bottom of the brackets drawn up so we can make all those guys. Just driving by the old shop. They tore the front off. They're making it all fancy. It's kind of a cool look. We should have did that. And of course, in typical Iowa fashion, we have another rain delay. When it keeps raining, I'm not going to get a whole lot done because it's kind of a soupy mess. But is what it is. So in the next rendition of Will It Fit with this whole shop, we saw how everything fit there. We need to know, can we get something up our little access road? Before I finish grading this out, this is where our water is going to come and drain. We're going to berm it up there. So we need to clean all this up, but the entrance to the Rover test trails are in between those trees. So we need to make sure we will still be able to drive a Land Rover up to that point without toppling into the new shop, because that would not be ideal. Also, unfortunately, I think that tree is going to have to go. As you can see, everything else has leaves and that one doesn't. And if that guy is dead, where is it going to end up? Looks like we're in good shape. We are going to be able to get up there. These two trees were the gate. Unfortunately, that one's gonna go. Appears that this will work without too much butt pucker factor and risk of ending up in there, but still kind of fun little entrance. So it looks like we are a-okay too. Kind of grade this out and make sure the water is gonna drain out to the driveway and not down to the building. And we have the same thing going on this side. We got it bermed up. So water free and still be able to use our little test track up there. All right, so we have our little bottom bracket flanges drawn up and sent off to the little brother so he can whip them out on the CNC plasma. Then we'll be able to weld these guys all up and get some poles in the air. Speaking of that, next week we are going to run and pick up the trusses and the poles and maybe some of the lumber. I have quite a bit sitting out there that needs to be grabbed. I just didn't want it here until I needed it. As you can see, we are kind of plumb full with Rovers. Speaking of which, I need to clean out this area. Next week we are also getting a past Rover from the channel drop back off here. I kind of forgot I even had it, and it needs some work, so it'll get some work done right here. Thanks for following along with today's edition of Automotive ADHD with Joe. Someday it won't be such an organized mess, and we'll get that Nada and the LS3 Defender stuffed indoors right about there. But either way, appreciate you guys watching, and we will catch you on the next one. Don't forget, a like goes a long ways with helping us on these videos. We can deal with that.